Ooh, we are back at How You Really Feel. This is Jeffrey and Tiana. And we were just thinking about, have you guys watched the Netflix series? What's the name of it, Tiana?
A Man with 1,000 Kids.
Oh my gosh. If you can, get a chance to see it. However, if you have been artificially inseminated or if you have had any type of, help with having birth, you might not want to see it because it might spook you because Tiana said she was spooked and she has not had any kids yet. You know what I'm saying? But I can understand why it would spook you. Tell me what you think about the fucking main character, first of all.
Oh, okay. You meant by y'all, you meant me. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So the
do you
main
think Kanisha's here?
the main character, I mean, I wish they would have delved a little bit more into his life and his upbringing because they gave you a little bit of a peek. Like he was one of like 6 or 7 children. He had both a mother and father, so a 2-parent household. But he didn't. Apparently, they made it sound like he didn't get a lot of attention. He was always trying to like find himself or figure out what he could be good at, so that he can kind of, be the shining light of the family. So they show you like him going through all these changes of styles and different, I guess like personalities, trying to find himself. And then they make it seem like once he figured out, oh, I can help, women get pregnant, and that could be like my calling. That's like my thing. And so they were saying like he had like a God complex, like this is what I'm here to do. This is what I do. And like it was an addiction and he couldn't stop. But I wish they would have gave us a little bit more about the family background so I can understand a little bit more about him.
What is there to understand?
I mean, like,
Why?
yeah, like, why? How did it come about as like an idea? You know what I mean? Like, is it one day a friend suggested, or did he need to make money at one time? So he went to donate and then he just was like, oh, this is what I should do. Or did it come off like automatically of like, oh, I want to try out this donating thing. I saw it on TV one time. So I just wanted to know a little bit more. But he was so crazy. What did you think about him?
The funny thing is that looking through it the entire time, I just kept thinking. I watched on 90 Day Fiance, and then one of the guys that were on, I think the 4th episode, the last episode, and they were talking about that little Facebook group that they had with the 5 people, and they're all trying to populate the earth and trying to make everybody white, basically trying to be the.
Oh yes, I
right.
remember that part.
So one of the guys there was on 90 Day Fiance, the other way. So like imagine we had been seeing him and he had been having issues with his girlfriend because she was telling him to stop trying to be a sperm donor, and that's how she met him because he was a sperm donor and she was trying to have sperm, and so she got him on the line and blah blah blah. And then it was so funny because like remember he was like on the show it was talking about him traveling and going different places, and so the same thing was occurring on Love 90 Day Fiance the other way because in Paradise or whatever. So this guy was traveling and he was like, oh, she didn't know that I met with a donor the other day and I was donating and sperm so I can help a baby. So they're making it seem like they're trying to help when they're indeed trying to populate in the belief of white supremacy. You get what I'm saying? To think that, oh my gosh, let me let my hair grow a little bit longer because the women like it and they think I'm Jesus and blah, 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 blah. All the fact that he's putting on YouTube and making sure that his kids can find him or putting that information out. And, it's like they have all these God complexes. And I think one of the scariest parts is when they were talking about when the couple who one of the main couples who said, hey, we wanted to have a baby and we met this guy at the restaurant and he had a scar from ear to ear. And so, but when we saw him, we just knew immediately that we didn't want that to be our baby's father. And we said there must be something wrong. So we politely declined. So then the next time they met him, and then to see years later that both of them were roommates and they lived together, and it was likely that they could have tried to get either one of you guys' sperm. And you were just like basically calling the same number, but somebody else shows up. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is crazy because even if somebody worse shows up and somebody a little bit better shows up, what are you going to pick?
Right.
Even if the better ain't your 100%, it is 100% better than that 60% that you just saw.
And I didn't get the allure. Like, I'm thinking, like, if I would have saw a picture, but maybe it's like a cultural thing. Maybe over there, like, he's the top of the line, handsome. But I'm looking at him, I'm like, if I saw other pictures of other men available, I would have went with the other men because I didn't think he was that attractive. But like you said, if you're desperate and you're on that one website that some of the ladies was going to, and they literally had a monopoly on that website where it was just them two creating different counts.
Yeah.
And you saw the other guy, you would definitely then go with this guy because you're like, well, I definitely don't want this guy who seems like something.
They weren't paying anybody either.
Yeah.
So it was all free. So remember, they're getting free.
Yeah.
So that's why it's on Facebook and you're going, because it's free. But when you go to the doctors, you pay. And so when they went to the doctors and you have to pay for it, then it's like, oh, they're talking. Remember, they were talking about going to Africa, and how you pay for so many units, and then you have to stay. And then some of the people were talking about, damn, they were churning me like I was a milk carton. Do you know what I'm saying? So I can understand that because boom, they're just trying to get all the money that they can, but a lot of it could also be self-esteem issues. I think a lot of it turns down to self-esteem issues. I think a lot of it has to do with
the women or the men.
The men.
Okay.
I think the women are like, okay, this is a baby. I want to have a baby. And if this person says that they've evidently done it before, so maybe their sperm might be more viable. So they might be thinking on those terms. You know what I'm saying? I think as Americans, we look for beauty standards. And I think that for them, they were looking at, oh, he has long hair. Oh, and it's blonde. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he's a white guy and he's kind of chubby. So he looks like I don't want to say angel or cherub, or like, look at his chubby cheeks. He looks healthy because they're looking at his size. You know what I'm saying? They're not looking at him on a whole. Or we look at very much more into aesthetics. So when we think about the European countries and we look at their teeth, it's like, okay. So for him, his average is better than most because when we're seeing them, it's like, I'm not saying that all of them have rotten teeth. I'm not saying that. But our aesthetics might be a little more better, and we think about how we look. We think about our eyebrows. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking about our smile. We're thinking about all of this stuff. And so for him, it's just like, oh, okay, well, at least he's clean. He has his teeth. There's no teeth missing. You know what I'm saying? There's no gap. He doesn't have an underbite. Okay, this will work for us. And then, shit, if we're two women or a man and a woman who can't have a baby, okay, who gives a shit?
I'll be thinking, like, I want to get to know this person because I thought the whole purpose of sperm banks is, like, they're supposed to get kind of, like, the background information on the guy so that you know if there's any family history of, like, different illnesses. Like, they're supposed to be, like, vetted. So when I was listening to some of the women just going in online to these, like, random sites to find these guys, I'm like, well, you may be getting free, but you don't know if this guy has, like, a family history of this, family history of that. I mean, clearly it's a family history of mental health, mental illness because, he clearly shows signs. But I like that you brought up the fact of the self-esteem because that's the part that I want to get more information about in his background when they were telling the story about his background because I felt like that played a part in it too. I want to feel special. Maybe I've been rejected a lot by women over time. Mm-hmm. And now this is my chance to feel special, feel like I'm good looking. Because here we have these women who are picking me out to essentially be the father of their children.
So I think that those are desperate people and they don't want to pay to go to an agency because it's too expensive. So then you just meet somebody online because remember, they were fucking jacking off in the cup and bringing it to you. As Phaedra would say, honey, well, at least the one thing is you will know, my son will know who his father is. Instead of you remember she did that on baby. Okay, anyway, back on.
And go to the clinic to get $10 for a pizza.
For a pizza, so he can jack off in a cup. I was like, ooh. But anyway, so with that guy that I'm telling you about on Love, the 90 Day Fiance series, imagine he basically lived in a backpack, right? And he would go from place to place, and he worked virtually. So, like, imagine him working virtually. Imagine him going to stay at a hotel because they're going to put you up for 10 days. You know what I'm saying? And so the guy was always traveling. Oh, I'm traveling here. Oh, I'm traveling there. And you're not thinking, oh, that's good. But you're traveling because they're giving you a stipend and they're flying you out. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to give, like, a lot of people ain't trying to donate their sperm. Imagine if every man was trying to donate their sperm, there would be 1,000. There would, every corner. If every man who jacked off would donate their sperm to a sperm clinic, there would be a sperm clinic across the street. There would be one next door. There would be one next door. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm just saying that not a lot of men do that. And so because they do that, it's almost like if you play, what's that, pickleball?
Yeah.
Then you're going to start looking for the pickleball courts. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain people who play pickleball. And so those same people who play pickleball know what they need to do. And I think that that's what it is. But
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. I feel one thing that I found very interesting is about having knowledge about your siblings.
Right.
Because I did not realize that if a sibling was to meet another sibling and they had no clue that they were siblings, they would fall into love with each other without knowing that they're the siblings because they have certain characteristics and they're so much alike, they're drawn to each other. You get what I'm saying? So with that, my whole thing was, I don't even think it's about his self-esteem. I think that it's more about what he's trying to do. And I think that, like, all four of those guys and that king, you know what I'm saying, the 5 kings or whatever, they're really trying to make the world have their lineage. They're really trying to populate the world with their children. They don't know how many kids they have, but they want to populate the world. They want to make the world look like them. You see what I'm saying? And that's what they're saying. And so when that happened, I'm like thinking, okay, now it makes more sense. So now you're going to have to go and look. I'm going to have to find out the 90 Day Fiancé Paradise thing so you can see this guy. And it just blew me away when I saw him on there because I was like, oh, shit, you're kidding. Because he was in my mind the entire time. Like, imagine him and this girl just going back and forth because he still wants to donate sperm and they're still fighting and stuff. He's like, oh, no, this is what I want to do. No, I'm going to help somebody else. I'm like, So now it makes sense because he was one of those people who were just trying to do it so that they could see who can conquer the human race. And I think that's a dangerous game to play.
It definitely is because you end up with more defects once, siblings start sleeping with other siblings. And that's why he ended up getting in trouble, is because he was causing harm to the future children, grandchildren. But what was crazy to me is that there's no punishment.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
It's a crime.
That's what I'm like, girl. What do you mean, like a slap on the wrist?
It really was. It was like, I'm thinking to myself, like, no, he should be jailed. He's doing this knowing that he's causing harm.
Right.
And he's refusing to stop. Like, you put other people in jail for less. Mm-hmm. And so just because we haven't quite defined this sort of criminal activity doesn't mean that
it's not.
Yeah. And it should be more, more punishment towards that type of crime because
right.
It was sad to see how it hurt so many different women and how they had to be more diligent about getting all the kids together because then they realized, like, oh man, like my kid is literally can go to a school or a college with one of their siblings and have no idea.
Right.
And I just think to hurt people like that in that manner and then have no remorse, it's just very ill.
But you know that guy is sinister because imagine putting all those YouTube clips so that your child can one day look at it because you're looking for your father and be like, oh my gosh, that's my dad. And so every one of your morals, every thought pattern that you have, they're going to try to go through those. You know what I'm saying? Your kids are like, imagine how kids are now. If I was to drink and my son saw my eyes or something, he'd be like, Dad, what's wrong with your face? I'm like, what? But kids notice everything. So even if there's nothing wrong with your face, if you don't see anything, the kids say, oh, why'd you say it like that? Or why are you looking like that, Dad? I'm like thinking, what are you talking about? But it is because people are always checking you out. They're paying attention.
I liked how the judge shut the man down when he said, "Oh, I don't have to worry about my kids end up being together because they're gonna all know each other because I'm gonna be in all of their lives." And she said, "You're gonna be at 600 birthday parties, 600 graduations." Like, come on, sir. You can't potentially be at that many things. I like how the judge was just like very frank with him. Like, no, sir, you're not convincing me of any of this stupidity. Like, there's no way. And then he said, well, they can put, remember when he said this part? They can put like a little symbol on their Facebook page so that way.
Do you see what I'm saying?
And I was like, is he serious? A symbol on their Facebook page so that
666.
right.
666.
I'm just like, lock this man up because he has the audacity to tell you that, oh, just have them put a symbol on their Facebook page. Yeah, so that everybody in the world can know, oh, you is this man's kid. You're not thinking about what that looks like for them, how people will judge them. Ugh, you're one of that guy's kids? I'm going to stay away from you. Exactly. I don't want to, be with you. Yeah. Right. Like, you're part of this twisted story. Like, your lineage is no good. I don't want no part of that. And so he just needs to be put away in jail because what he
needs
did,
to be castrated. Not castrated. Let me say, you can castrate somebody without cutting their nuts off, right? I think that his tubes need to be tied. And I just don't think he should have any more kids. So me saying that is not trying to be inhumane. And I understand that we all have rights that we can do with our bodies. But if he
got enough though.
Right. And you're using your body to do something that can cause irreparable harm to our entire society. You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
Now I'm going to be, well, I'm not dating, but if I was, I'd be looking, excuse me, do you know who your father is? I need to know that you know who your father and your mother.
Who your dad?
And not just your supposed father, who's your biological father, because I got to make sure I'm not getting one of his kids. Yeah. So it was very, very eerie when I was watching it. You could just feel a sense of just like.
Well, I want to know what their favorite part was. So do me a favor in our comments, please write down what your favorite part was, or some thoughts that you may have had about this program. It is on Netflix.
I feel bad for them women who had to get on there and give their testimony.
Well, I'm glad they did.
Yeah.